Hi, everyone. I'm just going to get started. Welcome to the Fiber Artist of Garrison Craft. Thank you to everyone who is joining us, and thank you very, very much to our fiber artists themselves. My name is Jessica Albert. I'm the Development and Events Manager at Garrison Art Center, and this is...
Hi, I'm Kat Reifeis. I am the Marketing and Communications Manager here at Garrison Art Center.
We are in our 54th year of this show on the beautiful Hudson River, and we are also in our 60th anniversary. So this is a very big year for us. We've been excited all year. We've been excited for this event, and this is really special to us. We have dropped some of the links in the chat. If you don't see them, we'll do them again at the end. It's for tickets. It's for the full exhibitor list for Garrison Craft and our schedule. And we also, this is the first time ever, excuse us, we have a train in the background. This is the first time ever that we are having an actual fibers workshop during Garrison Craft. It's an intro to tapestry with Gail Cunningham O'Donnell, and there's one on Saturday and there's one on Sunday. So there's a lot of opportunities to get involved. And we just launched our fall classes. Take a peek.
Ooh, yeah.
So we're going to be starting with Leonard Crochet Designs. And we're going to share our screen with some images while they speak. And we're going to go through our 8 artists that are with us here today. We're going to ask the artists some questions. And then if you have any questions, drop them in the chat and we'll save them for the end. And I really hope you do. But if you don't, it's okay. So Evie, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Do you see me?
See you.
We see you.
Oh, okay, because I don't see myself.
Oh, we see you.
Okay, great. Hi, I'm Evie Leonard from Evie Leonard Crochet Designs. I'm thrilled to be part of this program and among a community of such talented fiber artists. I want to start by just sharing a bit of my story and how I got involved in crocheting. About 10 years ago, my life was changing. My professional career was slowing down. My youngest child was going to college, and I was wondering what I was going to do. So I was walking around Park Slope, Brooklyn, and I saw a magazine of crocheting with a young girl with a beautiful blanket wrapped around her. And I said, gee, I can make that. I'll make a blanket for my daughter to go to college. So I bought the magazine. I bought crochet hook. I needed 17 colors. And when I was up in Woodstock, I bought yarn. And at that point, I knew nothing about weights of yarn. I was a collector. I was not a maker. So I bought the yarn. I started making this blanket, and I had very bulky yarn. Her blanket became a bedspread. I learned a lot from that. So I've always appreciated handmade crafts. I've been a collector of hand-blown glass and ceramics and textiles, and I decided maybe I could make something. Maybe I could be part of the maker community, not just a consumer community. So I started making lots of blankets. I gave them to friends and family and decided this is silly. I'm going to start trying to sell them. So I have a good friend who owned a yarn store, and she really helped me start my career as someone to sell my work. Most fiber art, most people know, is weaving, knitting, or quilting. And I crochet, and very few people crochet. I don't know how to knit. And I feel that doing it right, crocheting can be very sophisticated and appealing. One of the keys is using as thin a weight yarn as you can and finding hand-dyed colors of yarn. And the color choices and the pops of color really make your project. I prefer to work in motifs. What you see on the screen is a scarf that I did, just a very simple scarf. But behind me, I have some of my work, if you can see it, because I don't know if you can. I like making small motifs and putting them together, putting the color together. I call my work a modern twist on the traditional granny square. And I use, again, unique colors and patterns, put them together. It's appealing to the eye and to the touch. And my projects give me a chance to play with colors and have them speak in different ways. Each of my pieces is made with high quality natural fibers. And I try as much as I can to have hand dyed yarn. Let's see. So after making many blankets, as I said, I started making accessories, scarves and cowls and shawls, and that sold my work at craft shows and local shops.
And we look forward to having you at Garrison Craft too.
Excuse me?
We look forward to having you at Garrison Craft too.
Returning.
Returning. Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. We're just going to move on.
I was once there when it was very, very hot in August. Last year, my best friend's son got married in Portland, Oregon, so I couldn't come to the show. But
well, we're happy to have you this year.
Yeah.
Thank you. And my work is called Art to Wear. And I think that's a lot of fun. Instead of wearing jewelry, sometimes you wear an interesting scarf or cowl. And I guess it's one of the other things that I do is I use yarn as a quest. When I travel in Europe, in the States, I look for yarn stores and I meet people. I get their take on where I could go, where are the good restaurants, where are the indie dyers, and I collaborate with dyers and who dye yarn for me for my projects. And thank you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Excellent.
Thank you. Now we have Nemo and Julio of EXOT Blue Dyers. Did I say that correctly? Ooh.
Yes, EXOT Blue Dyers.
Oh, good. I'm glad. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, we're indigo dyers. We started from imports. I used to import things from Bali. You've all seen those thousands of millions of things that used to get imported from Bali. And Julio?
I work with a cashmere designer in New York City, and that's how I got into the fiber arts.
So we hooked up, and we were originally just selling imported fabric, and then we were taught indigo by my sister, who's a well-known quilter online, an unusual quilter. If you look up spiritcloth.com, you'll see what I mean. And she taught us how to use indigo, and we had access to a wide variety of fabrics that no one had ever seen before, and we could get them manufactured. So we started doing crafts fairs. And so we started with scarves and shawls, but we've since expanded. We do pillowcases, we do t-shirts, we do over-dyed, upcycled men's shirts. We also do quilting supplies. We have a side site that just does little squares, indigo dyed squares for quilters. So we've been doing the craft shows for 20 years or something. It's indigo shibori. I mean, he could talk of it. Shibori is an amazing thing. You can just play and use anything you have. And if you just kind of have an adventurous, creative spirit, you can surprise yourself and come up with amazing things. So I don't know, you want to talk at all about
what you're saying?
He's kind of the master of folding fabrics in unusual ways and coming up with techniques. I do a lot of the underdyeing. We dye the fabrics first. We start white, we dye them a color, and then we overdye with indigo, which is a great technique because the process of indigo we use has one of the things that activates the indigo is a color remover. So it creates these spontaneous halos around things that you can't quite predict. And it's really surprising. And if something doesn't come out, we just dye it again until it works. You know, some things are dyed 6 times. And we even do like color removal and stuff if that's not working, and then keep going. So it's kind of endlessly creative. And that's it, really.
Well,
Like this piece here in the picture is
Yeah.
I mean, we've stopped importing as much fabric as we did because in the pandemic we lost a lot of our connections. People stopped, they went out of business, the shipping went up, so we've been sourcing stuff. These come from a company called Maiwa in Canada. It's an organic hand woven cotton.
Oh,
That's
they're wonderful.
It's really fabulous to work with. So that's our latest source of stuff, but we just get stuff from all over.
So I've actually taken a shibori workshop at Garrison Art Center.
Uh-huh.
Kat taught it, so
Yay.
I loved it
Yeah.
personally. Just to throw that out there, she's the one with all the knowledge, but it's fun hearing from you as well about it. So thank you so much.
Sure.
And I'm excited to see your work. I'm going to throw in a question real quick. Will you have those quilt squares at the show?
You know, I thought I should have brought them, but we don't usually bring them to the shows. We have so much stuff that it's like we're always on the verge of putting too much in the booth.
Yeah.
And they're very small, so I have to figure out some way to display them or present them, because it's like if people are going to look through them, I got to bring like 1,000 of them. You know,
Yeah.
It's the online place. There's a store online.
Okay.
It's on a site called Big Cartel.
Yep.
It's called Threadcrumbs.
Oh, I love the name.
Threadcrumbs.bigcartel.com, and it's stocked regularly.
Okay,
And
great.
it's all just like individual scraps of vintage fabric that have little indigo designs on them. So they're usually about 3 inches square. So
Excellent. Well, I think that some of our quilters might be interested in
Yeah.
that.
yeah, well, we'll bring them next year if we do Garrison again. It's a good idea. It occurred to me just 2 days before we left, and it was just too much to.
So it's
to get together.
completely understandable, but we're excited to see the rest of your work. So thank you so much.
Yeah,
Sure.
thank you.
So next we have Firecrow Handwovens with Katie Litchfield.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Jessica.
Of course.
It's great to be here with you guys all tonight, and I'm delighted to be coming back to Garrison Crafts Show for my second year this year. I'm a master weaver. I originally got interested in weaving by going to Old Sturbridge Village when I was with my brownie troop. I was probably 7 or 8 years old, and I saw, sheep being sheared and wool being carded, and we got to help in various steps of the process. And then I saw this weaver taking this yarn and making it into cloth, and I was fascinated by the process. So in my 20s, I went to a local craft and arts festival near me here in Western Massachusetts, where I live. I live in a very small rural town here in Western Mass, in the Amherst, Northampton area. And I met a weaver there who was selling her work, and she had a little loom. Well, she let me sit down at it and throw the shuttle back and forth and make some cloth, and I was immediately hooked. And so she had a beginner's class starting the very next week. I signed up for it. I got the very last spot in the class. It seems kind of meant to be. And that's how my weaving journey started. It's hard to believe it's been almost 20 years that I've been weaving. I went through a 6-year program at the Hill Institute in Northampton, Massachusetts, and earned my master's in weaving certificate in 2018. The program was absolutely amazing because I learned how to do some really complex weave structures, which are a lot of fun. So once I learned how to design my own cloth, now what I usually do is come up with my own designs, either on graph paper or using a computer program called Fiberworks, where I do my own designing. That's all the threading and treadling sequences that will make the cloth for you. So what you're looking at in the picture here is a shawl that's 18 inches wide in 100% cotton, cotton warp band weft. Color, as I hear most of us talking about tonight, is one of my most favorite things. I love blending different colors together. I love doing ombre blends across the warp, as you see here. And then I can throw a pattern on top of it, changing the color regularly to just bring out, the vibrant hues. I call this piece Autumn Harvest. I'm actually wearing a similar scarf tonight, Autumn Harvest. And I hand twist all the fringes on my work so that they'll stay nice and hold up longer over time. One of my most popular things I weave these days are these ponchos in rayon chenille. The rayon chenille in warp band weft. It's a very comfy layer. And when I think about making clothing, one of the most important things to me is that it be really easy to wear, like no fussing or pinning or magnets or anything like that. You can just put it on and be done with it. And I think that's what a lot of people appreciate about the ponchos. So I've just had a ton of fun, like designing new pieces of clothing, always designing new cloth. I work on 4 huge looms. You can kind of see maybe some of them here.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Yep. It's a little hard with Zoom, I know, but this one behind me is a large 16 harness loom, which a fellow master weaver who went through my program sold to me just recently. And I'm so excited because I'm actually doing 16 shaft patterns, which is just basically like really complicated. If you imagine the possibilities of what you could do with 4 shafts or 8 shafts, now I have 16. So I can blend different weave structures together. In weaving, we call patterns drafts, and they usually fall within weave structures, which are like families of drafts. So anyway, it's a ton of fun. I'm delighted to be back this year. Thank you so much for having me. And I'll be happy to chat about whatever you'd like and answer questions later on. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And again, I guess I'm taking all the workshops and classes here. Yeah. So I took Intro to Tapestry, and I'm so excited that's going to be offered during the weekend. So I have a small understanding, and I can't even begin to start to imagine 16 when I did 1 myself. So I'm very excited. I saw your work last year, and I'm excited to see it again this year.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Me too.
Oh, thank you. All right, next we have Handmade by Kacie Grossman. Oh, Kacie? Oh, there you go.
You're muted.
Okay, hi everyone. That's
hi.
Because I was stumbling with my words. So, so I'm Handmade by Kacie, and I just wanted to let everyone know I'm a quilter and a bag maker, and I began my journey just 4 years ago during lockdown, when I pivoted from being a performing artist to buying my first sewing machine and beginning to play with fabric, and I just haven't stopped. I did such a deep dive, and I really am so thrilled because I've always made things, and I've been an artist, and I have a degree in fine arts, so it was a natural transition because I couldn't imagine what I would do when I wasn't on stage anymore, when I wasn't dancing. And so I've really found that with fabric and quilting, you can add so many layers, and then you can really draw the eye to different things. So there's, I can't see myself, so I can't really see what I'm showing you, but there's like an idea within this one, that the quilt that's on the screen, about how many colors and how diffuse the different shapes can be, and yet all the textures within the fabrics and how they kind of blend and join together and take you on a journey. So it's natural for me to try to make something that is, really three-dimensional and with a lot of movement, a lot of texture, and to try to make something really for you to just visually enjoy and to take you on a journey. But what I actually am so thrilled with this new form I'm working in is that it's so practical. It's a useful item, and it's like a part of your everyday life, and you get this lasting relationship with bag or your quilt, and then it brings you comfort and joy in all these intimate moments of your life. So I'm just thrilled to find this less ephemeral way to express myself. And yeah, and so I have so as far as when I'm still learning, so when I'm taking a new technique or I'm learning a new skill, I'll make it on a small piece, and then I'll make it into a bag. So I'm just as I explore new skills, I get to make again something useful out of it. And I really enjoyed doing Garrison Craft last year, and I'm very excited to return.
We're excited to have you here. That piece that you just pulled up was beautiful. Yeah. I love the colors. And I'm excited to see if you have new stuff that I haven't seen before too.
Yeah. So I have behind me, I have halfway through a process. It's my own. It's my own design. So I just had to tear myself away from my sewing machine in order to spend some time with the computer, drafting things and making templates. And this was a color prompt for a fabric challenge. And so it kind of moved me outside of my comfort zone within color. And I love to work that way because I love to collaborate, and I've always collaborated as a dancer. I was like someone's tool that gave back, that I gave a lot of feedback back, and that in the end was all me. So I really enjoy working with people and making custom quilts too, because I'm just used to having a prompt or having someone to bounce the ideas off and to direct and to limit my choices so that, you can really find a fantastic solution, within that idea of, limitation, which is part of being a performing artist. So I like to bring as much of my knowledge of working with the team and working with the art director and things like that to my own work. So
excellent.
Oh, thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank you so much. So up next, we have Janet Sikirica, Fiber Arts.
Oh, are we still? Oh, we must.
Good evening. My name is Janet Sikirica, and I go under the name of Fiber Arts because even though I'm primarily a felter, which you can see, these are all wool felted bowls on the screen. I have so many interests: knitting, dyeing, and I have to admit, I signed up for a 3-day weaving class here at Terrytown. Up here, we have it has 27 looms in a room.
Oh, excellent.
I know, I'm very excited. I have a room full of yarn upstairs. So, I'm all over the place with this stuff. But in the last, since 2012, I've shifted to felting because I wanted to kind of take wool to the next level. And I just love what felt does and what it feels like growing up in Germany. You have your felt slippers and you have your felt load and coat, and you have your felt this and that. So one thing led to the next. I bought some wool, roving, which is just unspun wool before you make it into yarn, and looked at it for a couple of years. And then I got to work and it was horrendous. I don't have any of this. I have samples of that though. But in the last 10 years, I've really evolved to making functional things, vessels, wearables. I like working with the silks and the wool for the wearables. This particular one, I like using recycled sari silks. Beautiful. Yeah, you have the design elements and it's just what it does with, just recycling the silk. It's beautiful silk and, yards of it. Why not, right?
Yeah.
And I also like to do bojagi work, or bojagi. That's Japanese for Korean for pieces of fabric that were left over back in the day when the poor farmers, you didn't buy a pair of new clothes, you patched it up. So I like to do a lot of that work as well. But again, primarily it is the felting. And what I love about felting is that depending on the wool, what you can use it with. And for wearables and something finer against the skin, the various types of merinos that can go anywhere from, 16 micron, 14 micron, very, very fine, that felt just by looking at it, to very coarse wool that could have 27 to 32 micron, where we will make like rugs and bags out of. And my new thing that I've kind of been working on for a few years now, here and there, taking workshops, but I've evolved now to making the carpets.
Oh, wow.
These are traditional in Kyrgyzstan and in that neck of the woods in like Middle Asia. These are traditional rugs that they make with the traditional designs. They all have certain meanings. And my teacher, who is actually Hungarian, she's kind of like, I've taken those master classes with them, and that's been my thing now lately. It's definitely backbreaking, but it keeps me fit. The technique I use is wet felting. I do not needle felt, except if I have to fix something, because I would poke myself. Because to make something like a hat or a rug, like, larger, it has to be with, the water, the soap, and the agitation to make the felt. Yeah, so, anything from merino all the way to karakul wool, which is, from a fat-tailed sheep on the Mongolian steppe. Wow. I just love it. It's just taking me, it's endless. It's taking me, all over the world. I have friends now all over the world with us felters. I like to buy locally sourced wool if I can in the state of New York or Massachusetts. I go up to Northampton a lot, got Snow Farm and all the fun stuff up there. I have a lot of friends up there that are felters. But locally sourced wool, you know, like beautiful Gotland or Iceland locally, but the merinos usually come from abroad.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I get a lot of my wool from Germany as well. So anyway, that's it in a nutshell, I guess. I could keep talking, but.
Well, no, I just have one question for you. Where do you take your master classes?
Well, you know, people always say, Janet, why don't you teach? And I guess I mean, I could teach. It's just, I find going to these, finding the masters, and we now know each other through all the networks and Felt Matters and the International Felt Makers Association. But we try to invite the Northeast, I'm a member of the Northeast Felt Makers Guild, and we try to invite the teachers from, if they're from Europe or wherever, when they come over, and we then share them, you know, they shuttle around the United States. So, you know, Leiko's coming from Ireland, even though she's from Japan. And then, you know, we just try to invite people. Yeah. And then I will go. I just came back from Minnesota 3 weeks ago because Flora, the Hungarian woman that I learned the rug making with, she was in Minnesota at the Textile Center. So I went up there for a week. Yeah, so, you know, I'm semi-retired. My kid's in grad school. So a little more freedom. But, you know, it's just, I love taking, even if it's the smallest takeaway, because, you know, I know how to make gorgeous felt, but it's just the smallest takeaway and technique that you can have. And plus the camaraderie and the yeah, the togetherness is, there's nothing, you know, there's nothing like it. So.
There's nothing like it. It's the connections that you make.
Yep.
And one of the main reasons why we were so excited for this fiber arts, one, we're just excited in general, but we just recently started in the last year or so having more teaching artists come to us to teach fiber workshops and fiber classes. And we recently had an intro to felting. So
yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. And we had that, I believe we had it at least twice. And it's really interesting because one of our longtime ceramic students is now absolutely obsessed with felting.
Yes.
And the sculptural aspect of it. And being able to do that. So I just love seeing the balance.
And every now and then you take a class, and then there's a clay person in there. You know? And because, you know, shaping a bowl or a vessel, how do you do that of wool? You know, I know how to do it in clay. How do you do it wool? So every now and then there is a draw. There is some connection with ceramicists and or clay, I guess. I don't know. My sister does that. I don't really understand. But yes, there is that connection there. So yes, come on in.
Well, very cool. Thank you so much, Janet.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Janet. All right, next we have Jeneric Bags, Jennifer Larrabee.
All right, let me unmute myself. Hi, I'm Jennifer Larrabee, Jeneric Bags. For everybody who asks, Jeneric Bags came from my name is Jen and my husband's name is Eric. So since we've ever been together, we're a generic couple and we live in a generic house and we drive generic cars. And
I was curious how you picked that name. I was like, oh, I love it.
So the funny part is that I don't know if you can see behind me some of these tote bags that I make. I never make any two exactly the same, so there's nothing generic about them, and that's the joke. So I started. I forgot to look back in my records, but this is either my 8th or 9th time doing Garrison Craft.
Yes.
Cool.
So I've been doing craft fairs pretty much since I started doing this, because I was working for a friend of mine and selling soap and skincare that she makes, and then I transitioned into selling my own things. And I love doing the craft fairs. But about my quilting, I was telling people earlier, I started by mistake or by accident. My son was in preschool at the time and was fascinated by the sewing machine that I barely knew how to use. And he was homesick from preschool, and we decided to make a quilt for his teddy bear, and I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. But but I enjoyed it. And we made this little tiny quilt. And then a few months later, I had to buy a baby shower gift. And my preschool son said to me, "Mommy, you should make the baby a quilt." And so I did. And I had so much fun that I just kept going, and I was making quilts for people. And then I made a bag for a friend of mine as part of a challenge. And I had fun making the bag. And then somebody gave me a whole pile of fabric, and Hurricane Sandy hit. And I said, you know what, I'm going to make these bags and I'm going to sell them and see if anybody's interested. And I'll make all the proceeds to Hurricane Sandy. And people loved the bags. And I raised $500 for Hurricane Sandy. I was only selling them for $25 a piece at the time because I didn't know any better. And I raised $500 for Hurricane Sandy, and realized that people really liked the bags. So I started selling them at the craft fairs. And then I started expanding what I did, and I started making pot holders, which have become my biggest seller. And it's very funny because I'm on a lot of quilting groups, and people say all the time, "Well, what do you do with your scraps?" "So with my scraps, I make bags, I make pot holders." And I'm the opposite. I make bags and pot holders, and with my scraps, I make quilts. I use pretty much just commercial fabric that you can buy at the fabric store. I don't do anything special to it. I don't dye it. I don't change it. I like a lot of whimsical fabrics. I tend to use a lot of novelty prints and fun, whimsical things. And like I said, I do tend to work a lot with my scraps, and I've been saving smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller pieces to the point where now I'm doing things with what I call schniggles.
Oh, wow.
Which are just these little tiny pieces that are too small to even sew together. And I've learned a technique for sewing them together. And so I've been doing, I've been moving from the craft more towards the art, if you will. So I still do my quilts, I still do my bags, I still do my pot holders, all my little accessories, because that's what pays the bills. But then I've been working more towards the piece that I just showed you will be framed, and working on more abstract. I call them my abstractions because I'm using my scraps to make these abstract pieces and framing them. And I don't know if you can see the owl that's behind me, this blue one here.
Yeah.
That's made with those same pieces. So I'm taking some of those little schniggly bits and creating pieces out of them. The problem is that the more of them I use, the more of them I seem to have. So I'm not sure how it works.
Oh, that's great.
But yeah, so in my booth right now, it's you'll see if you come, when you come to Garrison Craft, you'll see I do have a wall of my art pieces, and then the rest of the booth still has all my crafts, my quilts, my bags, my pot holders, my little change purses, and all the little things that I use, because I can't throw out any size piece of fabric. I have to use it all.
But that's great.
That's wonderful.
I love to hear that. And especially with this being my third year here at Garrison Craft, I'm excited to see your new wall. And I will let you know, we had somebody reach out asking if you would be joining us again this year. So you have another consistent customer. So thank you so much. So next we have Kati did originals with Kate Daley, who is also one of our teaching artists.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you, Jessica. So Katie Did Originals is an organization, I guess, my little company that focuses on eco printing and flower pounding or leaf pounding, and also botanical dyeing. So all of those things are, you know, kind of similar but different. The scarf over here, I used a couple of different processes, like the eco printing, which involves steaming the actual plants with the fabric. And then after that was done, I wasn't satisfied with it. It wasn't like quite there yet. So on top of that, I did flower pounding, which is just what it sounds like direct. You put the flowers on top of the fabric and pound away. But before I show you some other work, I'd like to tell you a little bit about how I got into this, into fiber art in general. I've always considered myself an artist, primarily a painter. That's what I studied in school. And I still think of myself that way, even though I'm working in a different medium. So, so painting led to printmaking, which led to kind of combining the two in mixed media pieces. And then a lot of people I've noticed on this talk had kind of a change during COVID, you know, and I kind of did too. You know, I had been doing marbling of fabrics on the side, and I decided, why don't I try to sell these? But so I set up a little Etsy shop, and I had some success there, but it kind of began to bother me that I was using a lot of commercial dyes. And I always wanted to find a way to use more natural, sustainable materials, you know, because of the climate crisis, I guess. And I just feel like, you know, I'm this little artist from Beacon. What can I do to help with that? But I can do something. So
Yeah.
I began to explore all natural dyes from plants, some from minerals from rocks, but mainly I'm a plant focused person. So I started also growing my own flowers. So I can say now I have a little dye garden.
Oh,
Which, you know, during certain times of the year in the Northeast, you can do. Do it all year, but right now I'm in the process of saving a lot of the flowers that I've grown and pressing them so that I can use them in the winter for however long they last. And you can actually revive them a little bit. But I just want to, I don't know how much you can see here, but I've been working.
we can see pretty well.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. I've been working with a lot of hemp. So this is a t-shirt that is like 55% hemp, and then the rest is organic cotton. And so I've been using that a lot because hemp is a very sustainable plant, basically. So I use, with this t-shirt, I did a bunch of different techniques. I did some shibori with indigo. That's how you get this sort of a window pane design. And then on top of that, I did it's called flower pounding, or Tadaki Zomi or Hapazomi. I hope I'm saying that right. But basically flower pounding, and it's from a Japanese tradition. And the shirt is double-sided. And then I have another one over here. So I'm really getting into these t-shirts. I'm also getting into socks. I want to show you some of those. Okay. I do scarves as well. I do silk scarves, wool scarves, cashmere scarves. I do a lot of, I find a lot of vintage, either vintage clothing or table linens, and I'll rework them with the eco printing or the flower pounding. So here,
that's so
here's an
great.
example of socks that I've done. Everything that I do is one of a kind. I couldn't repeat it if I tried. Even if I use the same plants and the same exact layout, you know, same exact composition, it'll come out differently. It just does. But that's part of what I love about it. And I'll rework.
That's great.
Thank you. This is with Morning Glories and indigo. So I'll rework pieces all the time. They hardly ever come out to my satisfaction the first time. So after eco printing, I might do it again or over dye it with, you know, a vat full of orange dye that I made from Cosmo flowers, something like that. So yeah, that's basically it. I want to show you a little bit of the silk, because these techniques come out very well on silk usually. And this is an example of something a silk scarf I dyed with marigold from the flowers that I grew in my garden. The marigolds, they came out like crazy last year. So
Yeah,
I had a lot of them. And then I, with shibori, I forget what the exact name is where you use the shapes.
Itadime?
Yes, thank you. I knew you would know. And then I over dyed it with indigo. So that's where this green color
Pretty.
comes from, combining with the marigold, of course. So I don't know how much time I have because I'm really bad with time.
Well, thank you so much, Kate.
Yeah. And I just wanted to thank everyone. It's been thank you, Jessica and Kat, and Garrison Art Center. It's been fun. This will be like my 4th year at Garrison Craft, and it's been great meeting everyone else and hearing about your techniques.
Oh, excellent.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We look forward to seeing you, as always.
In here. Bye.
Thanks.
Bye. And lastly, we have Line Study Textiles, Diana Parrington.
Hi, I'm Diana Parrington, and I'm a weaver. I call my business Line Study Textiles because weaving is made up of horizontal and vertical lines. And I guess at a basic level, what I'm doing is looking at what the weaving is doing and trying different colors and seeing what's happening within those lines, like literally studying them. A bit about my fiber journey. I studied fine arts in college, but after college, I got a job in technology. So as soon as I had to sit in front of a computer all day, my hands wanted to work with fibers. So I did knitting and sewing, and focused on quilting for a while as well. Anything to like explore the way that different colors would come together. That's really what I was drawn to do. So in 2016, I discovered weaving. A couple friends were doing it as a way to use up knitting yarn. So I said, I'm going to try that too. So one thing led to another, and next thing you know, I have a floor loom and I'm going down the rabbit hole of weaving. So I've been weaving ever since then, about 8 years now.
Oh, wow.
The item that you see in the picture here, these are indigo dyed towels. We seem to have a number of people doing indigo here.
Yes.
So to make these, it's like a very simple like EXOT process. I wind the warp and then I put resist on certain parts of it. And then I indigo dye them. And then I put the warp on the loom. So the way that the resist areas come out once it's woven is a bit of serendipity. Like I don't really know exactly how it's gonna turn out. Like the shape of that these bits of white are taking across the cloth.
What would you say your favorite out of these 3 is?
Oh,
They're all gorgeous.
They're all gorgeous. Yes, I'm very happy somebody added that. They are all gorgeous. I'm just curious which one you were most excited about once it was complete.
So I'm gonna say the one on the left, the one with the one white band.
Mm-hmm.
I like the other 2 as well. That one was just like super simple.
Mm-hmm.
But there's like still things going on, like how wide that white band is and the way like the different like threads are moving up and down across it.
Yeah, the different lines that move, that blend with the blue.
Yeah. You could see like there's very subtly like a dark blue and a light blue stripe in that piece.
That's okay.
I can see it at the top.
Yeah, like where it's folded over.
Uh-huh.
So that happened because I actually dyed 2 different warps and then overlaid them on each other when they went onto the loom. So I didn't want there to be like a big shift in color in the middle. So I kind of like did, I think, 1/2-inch sections. And that's what you're seeing there in stripes.
Great. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just so excited to ask you. Please continue.
No, it's great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are you going to be bringing your loom again?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yes, I definitely will be bringing my loom unless it's like pouring rain. I'll be out there with my loom.
Cool.
That's one of my favorite things about being at Garrison Craft or doing events is showing people weaving and being out there and actually doing the weaving while I'm there and getting questions, and because some people have never seen it before.
Yeah. No, it really shows the process of how something is made. It just doesn't, it doesn't magically always appear. It's like that everyone's working with their hands to create these beautiful pieces and to show that work and make people understand. I think that's always very important.
Showing the process of the craft.
Yeah, for sure. It helps make the connection. If I just hold up a towel and say that this is hand woven, like people don't necessarily understand what that means.
Exactly.
So part of the reason that I do this and I'm like making towels and things that are functional in the home is because I think there's a little bit of magic in handmade things. And if you could like bring something into your home that has that, like that somebody made it and then like touch it every day, I think there's really something to that. It brings the richness to everyday life.
It brings the joy. And one of the things that I love to hold true is that don't save it for a special occasion, because every day is a special occasion. And you should use those things that you cherish and that are handmade. And that's what's so important to us here at Garrison Craft. So thank you. And this is excellent. And we're going to open now to questions. So we're going to ask our artists some of the questions that we have. And again, don't be shy, but if you don't have any, that's completely fine. So I will start, and this is open to any of our artists. I think actually, Kat, why don't you start?
Oh, I'm always curious. Just so you know, I actually do dye. I have a studio in my house. I do Japanese shibori. And I'm always curious, what are people's like favorite tools? Like, what is your favorite dye? Especially tool wise, like right now, I'm really into my clamps just because like I use them so often and I just love hanging them on my board and I just love looking at them, but they're like my favorite tool because they're really important because I use them all the time. So I'm just curious what other, if anyone else has any like favorite tool or favorite part of the process or that, brings you joy. Anyone?
We do. Whoops.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
We do Itajimi shibori.
Yeah.
And we had a cutout made of a skull.
Oh, cool. Yes.
We had it hand cut, and he's going to grab it. It was just kind of he's Mexican, so it was like he has a Day of the Dead connection. And we put it on T-shirts, and it became an absolutely best-selling thing. People can't get enough of them. You got it? Here, I'll show you one.
Yeah, that's excellent.
That's cool.
It's a really simple process. It's just folding it up and stuff, but it's like it became kind of our favorite tool for a while. Not least because it made us a lot of money, but also it was fun.
Hey, it's a part of the process.
And we put it on dish towels too, which is a great little addition to the kitchen.
When we saw the pictures that you sent in, including one of the skull, we have one of our teaching artists here that bought that scarf many years ago. So
Lisa.
There you go.
Lisa, you mean? You mean Lisa?
Yes, I mean Lisa.
Yeah, we're still drinking out of her fabulous tumblers.
There you go.
I think we traded it.
You'll see her there. So maybe there'll be another trade, which is always fun.
Great.
So one of my questions is, what is one of your biggest challenges as a creative professional or artist? Jennifer?
One of the biggest challenges is finding the time to do all the things that are running through my head.
Time, yeah.
Kathy, is that what you were going to say? What were you going to add? Because I saw your hand up as well.
Have to unmute. Time. There are never enough hours in the day. I made my hobby into a living in 2012, and I travel around and do like 20 or 24, like kind of, craft shows a year. And, you know, if I have a really good show and then I come back, it's like, oh my gosh, I want to weave like 5 things at the same time. I just wish I could clone myself because, you know, hand weaving, as I'm sure Diana will agree, is a very slow process. And there are so many steps involved. So like what I'm working on now, I'll probably have in time for Garrison, which will be really great. So
Yeah.
I'm always having a lot of new stuff, but the hours in the day, there just are never enough.
Too many ideas, not enough time.
Which is super fun. And like, I
agree.
feel so happy and grateful about that. But at the same time, it's like, a little bit stressful, you know, because I just want to have like all the colors and all my lines like all the time. So I can present to everybody like the full array, you know?
Yeah. No,
Artist
definitely.
friends often remind me, only you know what you don't have, Katie. So
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a great
keep that in
statement.
mind.
Yeah.
I think that can apply to any art.
Yeah.
That's great.
And let's see. This is obviously, for everyone, what are you excited about right now in your work? Is there anything like you can't wait to show at Garrison Craft? I know Katie said you're working on something specific. Yeah.
Yeah, with me, it's my rugs. I like shifting. I get bored with one thing, so you kind of, yeah, I'm a little ADHD with that. But yeah, it's just getting, because it's a lot more muscle work. It's thicker. It's the coarser wools that I'm just kind of, you know, investigating more. And so with me, it's that the rug making is my new thing for now, at least.
I did have a question about your rug. I noticed the size. Is there any is there a particular reason the size? Like,
well, yeah, because it's, with felting, with vet felting, you always have to think in the shrinkage factor. So your layout is always much larger than your end product. And so you need space for that. And so I made a rug. This is the one I made in Minnesota just now. This is like two by what? 5? And this took 5 days. You know, it's all intarsia work. You work upside down. And then the shrinkage factor, and then you need all that space and all the water, and it's a lot of muscle. You know, you're constantly rolling. You're rolling this to get the felt to become one fiber. So it's that process. So, you know, I'd like to make bigger things, but you need then an extra, when it's all wet and heavy, then it's backbreaking. So that's why, you know, when you stick with the smaller ones, you know, it's just a little easier. But this just a 2x5, it was a lot of hard work. And I'm a tough felter. I'm very strong. So yeah, but you know, it's all a process. It's all a learning process.
oh, it's wonderful.
Great. Is there anybody else excited about anything coming up for Garrison Craft? Anything that they're bringing that's new, or a new process that they're doing? If not, I will move on to a question, and this is open to everyone, even our audience, and any of our fiber artists can unmute and just answer it. If you've been to Garrison Craft before, what is one of your favorite finds that you've brought home from the craft show? I know that they said earlier they traded with Lisa, Nemo, and Julio with a tumbler and a scarf. Is there anybody else that brought any treasured items home? Jennifer, yeah.
A few years ago, Cheyenne Mallow was there with her relief map art ceramics. And I didn't buy it from her at the show, but I ordered it. I had her do a custom for a part of a trail that my husband and son had like this amazing adventure on.
Oh.
And so I had her custom make that part of the trail on a map, and I bought the mugs for Christmas, and they were very excited.
That's awesome.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That was my favorite thing that I got from I got inspired at Garrison Craft to order it.
No, most definitely. And I will say she's not in the show this year, but she always returns to our holiday pottery show and sale. just to let you know. And it's not, and just kind of like Garrison Craft, we've moved the dates for that as well. That will be in December instead of November this year. So we hope to see you there as well. And I'm going to ask this as to the fiber artists. Why do you like doing in-person events like Garrison Craft? And anybody can answer. You don't have to raise your hand.
The people. I like the people. I'm a people person.
Me
like the
too.
people. And learning about all the other artists and just all the people. Yeah, just the people, just everybody, the artists and the visitors and
the river.
And the
I love
river,
the river.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hudson River. I live on the Hudson. I can see it from my house. So, all of that.
I just can't do online sales. I just can't do them.
See? And that's great to hear. We love doing them in person.
In person is so much better.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
no,
agree.
it's all, the people are just fantastic to
Yeah.
meet people and then the ideas they have and
And the questions.
and
Yeah.
then their life story they come and share. And you know what's the best thing about Garrison Craft are your volunteers. I had so much fun. They come and they ask if you need a rest, and then you talk to them about your work, and those were like my most rewarding moments of
that's so
year was
sweet.
talking to the volunteers. They were just fantastic.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. That means a lot to us. And especially because a lot of our volunteers are a part of the art center.
Yeah.
So they're representing us. So that just means a lot. Thank you. I do appreciate that. And I will say, I've had an excellent time in the Zoom. This has been a blast. I appreciate all of you participating and all of our guests and visitors. I will remind you that we do have our first Intro to Tapestry Weaving workshop during Garrison Craft, which I'm very excited for. We have 2 sessions, one on Saturday and one on Sunday. So sign up if you haven't already, or send it to your friends.
And if you register for that workshop, you get a free same-day entry ticket to Garrison Craft.
So, and if you guys have any questions at all, just email us. We are happy to answer them. And I hope you have a wonderful evening. And we look forward to seeing you at Garrison Craft.
Thank you, everyone. It's been wonderful to
Thank
just
you.
meet all of you.
Thank you for doing this.
Thank
This is
you.
my
Thanks so
first
much.
time, so thank you.
Oh,
very
excellent.
Bye.
Bye.
See you then. See you in a few
Thank
weeks.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.